This is episode 2 of a parenting series I'm doing called Rules from My Dad. These are rules that my dad had for me growing up that I'll be passing on to my daughters. Some of them silly, but all of them are serious. My dad was serious about all of these rules. Today, one of his rules we're going to be going over is no wedding should be $5,000, more than $5,000. And he said this because with young people especially who do not have big pockets, who are paying for their own wedding, whose parents aren't wealthy, obviously if your parents are wealthy, this is not going to apply to you. If you're in a different tax bracket, go live your life. But if you are spending $10,000 on a wedding and you don't own your home, you should go and use that money to own your home, to invest in something. You should not be spending $10,000 on a wedding if you are just starting out in life. Seeing the lavishness of weddings, especially I think in like 2008, I think that was really like, oh my gosh, these people are just burning money when they should be saving it. So the funny thing is now I've grown up and now I'm actually in the wedding industry. So this is a rule I'm going to pass down to my daughters, but now I'm going to help you execute that. My dad had to figure out how to do it. When you've never done a wedding before, how are you supposed to budget? But I think a budget is you're able to, when you start planning your wedding, everything looks like, I want it all. And you're doing it for the first time, so you can't really you can't figure out how much everything costs, and you can't figure out where you should put your money. And if you're going to follow my dad's rule, the first thing you have to think about is how many people you want there. Because that's going to directly impact how many people, what type of venue you're going to get, and that is going to be the number one cost of your wedding. So start there. First, write your guest list and figure out how many people you actually need there. I had a courthouse wedding. I had only 10 people there, and that was my immediate family and his immediate family. I didn't even invite my grandparents. It wasn't, again, I'm like my husband's from a different country. We had a visa. We had things that we had to get done, but also I don't like large parties, so that was fine for me. My sister, on the other hand, wants everybody at her wedding. As many people as she can fit in her wedding, she will invite every single person that she's ever met to her wedding. So that's different. My wedding was a courthouse wedding, and then a friend allowed us to, free of charge, to use the country club he was a member of. So we had a really beautiful location for free. But that's all contingent. I would not have had access to that if I didn't know that I was fine not having a lot of people at my wedding. Whereas my sister, you start with how many people you want, and then you find a venue to fit that. Because if you want 135 people legitly at your wedding, you are going to have to look at different spaces. From the number of people, and this is from the perspective if you're trying to get under $5,000, you've got multiple options. You can do a ceremony and then a casual reception where everyone's invited. You can do 2 different dates. So I did a formal ceremony, formal dinner, and then I had a large open house reception where everybody could come afterwards, like everybody. So you have to be creative, but start with how many people you want. Start with what type of vibe, and then choose. If you're going to choose a venue, the best way to choose a venue, if it's a nicer venue, if you're still desperate to try to make it look as luxe as possible, which is possible, is you got to choose a bad date. The way to get a good cheap venue at a nice location is you got to choose a bad date. So for example, January, because nobody wants to go to a wedding in January, you can do it. Do it. December, people, those are going to be hard dates because the venue needs to rent those spots out, and winter is not wedding season. Spring is wedding season. It's really going to be hard to find to get a cheap venue in May. That's nice. And then I think maybe August, because people are going back to school and it's hot. So, oh, and February. February is also a cheap date because it's right in Valentine's Day. And so no one wants to get married before Valentine's Day. And no one wants to get married right after Valentine's Day because that's too many like Valentine's Day. I did that. I got married in February, got stuff cheap. But it was more of a necessity. And now that I'm older, I realize like, oh, it's February is a cheap month because it's like got stuff going on. And again, it's winter. Like you can't, weather is everything. From there, the second thing you want to prioritize is, I think once you choose their guests and then figure out a venue that fits that. Again, this is about you. Is the photographer. The photographer is the second most expensive thing, I think, like next to food. But you can choose cheaper food options. Do not choose a cheaper photographer. You want to have a good photographer. Do not get your cousin's best friend's brother, okay? Because what happens, and it has happened a lot, is people book a photographer and then they are not a professional and then they lose your photos. Or you get your photos and they've got speckles on them, or they've got like issues with them. You need a professional photographer who knows how to store your photos, who knows how to bring a flash if it's a dark day, who knows how to get all of your family members, knows how to work off a list. A photographer is so essential. If you hear even one bad review about your photographer, get another photographer. If you're set on the aesthetic of one photographer, maybe then ask cousins, uncles, Bob to bring a camera, because if that photographer ruins those pictures, that's the rest of your life. I think that's way worse than anything else. The photographer, I think, is super duper important to match your aesthetic, because when you're looking back, you could have a cheap wedding, but your photos will be bomb. And that's, my wedding was really, was $5,000. And the photos for my wedding look stunning. They look gorgeous. And I look back at them and they look like a $10,000 wedding. And it was really $5,000 wedding because I had a fantastic photographer and I got a deal. But that is one that you want to make sure it's a good one. You want to make sure it's a reputable one. Don't go off of someone else. Make sure this person has like a legit profile on like The Knot or something, because I know many people that got photographer and got screwed over or didn't get their photos right or blah, 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 blah. Those three things will help you save you thousands of dollars. If you can keep these things in your mind, everything else like the food, you can get cheap. You can serve chicken instead of steak. You know, these things are easier to figure out. But if you can do those three concrete things of being flexible, being creative, it will help you build a really memorable wedding for yourself that's under $5,000. If you have any other questions about weddings, feel free to comment and ask. I can answer as many as I have the knowledge to do. But that is something that I apply every time I'm helping a bride and I'm helping them figure out what is the best way to achieve their vision. Knowing that like the most important thing for you guys to do is to be together and to build your future. And if you don't have the money and you're not coming up from a place of like deep pockets, or your parents don't, or you have to cover a part of your, it's not, if you can have a beautiful, memorable wedding and not break the bank. It is possible. And those priorities you set on the day that you get married will follow you for the rest of your marriage. And so that is why my dad's rule of only spending $5,000 at a wedding, on your wedding, is something that I will be passing down to my daughters. If you enjoyed this, like and subscribe and comment and let me know if you're ready for episode 3. And I will create another episode on rules from my dad that I will be passing down. Like and subscribe.